Hey everybody, it's your old pal Eddie Stevens here from Pico Rivera, California, just east of Los Angeles for all of you non-California natives. And I'm in my trusty garage, but I had to close the door because the California sun is a little too strong today. So I want to make sure you guys had some decent lighting to see this thing. This is one of my two new basses. You'll see a couple of videos coming out. This is the Harley Benton Enhanced MP5-MN in natural. They like to use a lot of numbers and letters. The MP is for your pickup setup there. You got an M right here at the bridge, which is also like a Stingray type pickup or, dual coil humbucker. There you go. And a P pickup. And I really appreciate on this P pickup that the top split coil is closer to the bridge for the lower strings to get a little more tightness out of that. Sometimes you'll see on P pickups the other way, where it's closer to the neck. And sure, it's a cool, thick, dark tone, but I want to get some clarity out of my low end just as much as my high end. Your high end is naturally going to have tightness because it's smaller strings. So I appreciate that very much. It is a C-shaped neck. Does not feel bad at all. Very comfortable. I know a lot of Harley Benton reviewers talk about that the necks feel like baseball bats. This one does not bother me at all. Totally easy to play. It is made of swamp ash in the body, which is my favorite, and Canadian hard maple neck and fingerboard with, you can barely see it, with some black binding there. That's really cool to match the black inlays. And this is a really cool, old school looking scheme. The body is a fat chunk of swamp ash. So this is not a light bass. It's not overly heavy where it's going to kill you, but it's certainly not a feather. So be prepared for that. But that's what gives you the better tone, I think. It is 22 stainless steel frets, including, I don't know if you can see that there, a 0 fret. Now that you don't see very often, so I appreciated that as well. The net width is 46 millimeters, 34-inch scale. Your fretboard radius is 350 millimeters. I know you guys want to get all those particulars out of the way, so I want to get it out of the way for you, so you have all the numbers. They do use their in-house brand ROSWELL pickups, as well as a ROSWELL preamp. This is the GMA2, and they call it the GMA2 because it's a 2-band active preamp with treble and bass. So I'm going to pick this up here so you can kind of see. This is volume right here, and it is push-pull. That's your active passive. So down on the bass is active, pull up is passive, okay? This is your pickup selector balance blend between the two. I usually leave it straight up, but it gives you the option of how you want to blend. Then you have treble boost cut, bass boost cut. Your jack is here. It's a very strong jack. I really appreciate that. Let's flip this over here. And you see, let me try to get the glare off, 6 bolts to bolt on the neck. Very cool. You got your battery compartment. It is 9-volt preamp, so just one 9-volt. Very easy to switch in and out. And it's got the holes here for body through stringing, which I prefer to do. Now, a lot of you guys, if you're not familiar with this stuff, Harley Benton is the house brand of Thomann, which is a company in Europe, specifically in Germany. They are the biggest distributor in Europe of musical equipment. I highly recommend you check them out. Just Google Thomann, Thomann. They don't just do basses. They have guitars. They have DIs, cabinets. I mean, it's really amazing the amount of stuff they have, not just of brands that you know, Fender and et cetera, because they do sell all of that stuff. But the Harley Benton stuff is their house brand, which is why it allows it to be less cost. And it's good stuff for the price. And I'm not going to use for the price as an excuse because I know a lot of guys use that in these videos. A bass should still be good no matter what. But definitely, this is a great bass. This was about $349 US. And of course, shipping and tax from Germany. But they do go through it. I'll do a little playing, then I'll talk a little bit more about it because I know you want to hear some stuff, okay? So right now, the first round I'm going to do is I'm direct into a passive DI into my mixer and, of course, into the computer. So I want you to get just the bass first, and then I'm going to show you some other stuff, okay? So this is flat, active, both pickups on, and all the way up on the volume, okay? We'll talk about that here in a second as well. Okay, so that's just straight up flat all the way out the gate. You might have heard a little dirt on that, and that's something that I do need to bring to everybody's attention with the active Harley Bentons, because I do also have Stingray MM, you know, the two humbuckers type of style Stingray from them that I have a video up from about a year ago. And if you have the volume all the way up and you dig in, it tends to distort at the preamp. So in the bass, it's like pre-digital distortion if you're an engineer, where there's nothing you can do about it. You can lower your gain on your amp all you want. It's distorting here. So I think that's a flaw in the design where the preamp can't take the power of these pickups, because it is the thick, I don't know if you can see that, there you go, the thick, huge poles on the magnet. So it's going to get every little bit, which is great, but the preamp can't take it when you dig in at full volume on the bass. So just keep that in mind. A way to get around that, pull the volume back just a hair. I'll do that here for you. So I totally cleaned it up. And, okay, so you lowered your volume. What do? You turn your amp up. Or you ask the sound guy for more if you're doing in-ears, like I have in-ears in right now. So it's a way to get around it. Is it ideal? Of course not. But it is what it is, okay? Hate to use that phrase, but it is what it is. I will do a little bit of the bridge pickup, which is the Music Man style pickup. Definitely got that signature style pop on the top, the way you expect to hear a slap out of a Music Man style pickup. I'm going to go up to the P now, and let's do a little Motown with that, huh? Cool. It was great. Just solid P tone. Now, the volumes are fairly even. I will tell you that I did have my luthier go through this bass before I took it out anywhere. And, of course, there's not many places to take it out right now in the pandemic. But I did use it on Wednesday, and I'll get to that in a sec. I did have him readjust the heights of the pickups, because I noticed when I got it, the P was higher than it is now, and it gave more this like muddy, darker P kind of a sound. I wasn't getting enough of the clarity of the bridge pickup. So he just adjusted the heights of the pickups for me as much as he could, and it really cleaned it up. So that's a little tip if you get this bass straight up, okay? So I'm going to go back to in the middle, and I'm going to boost the treble just a hair and see what that sounds like. It's tuned at a really nice frequency. It gives a nice little slap on that top end. Let me go back to the bridge pickup here with that treble boost, just so you can hear kind of like what an old 80s slap kind of a sound is going to be like with that boost. Yeah, show off, right? So that worked out really cool. So now I'm going to leave that. Actually, no, I'm going to go flat. I'm going to do a little bass boost, just a little. And you'll see what it's like. And I'm going to go back to the middle with both pickups, okay? So it's an interesting frequency that they chose to use on the preamp for that. I'm not going to play too much of it. I am going to do a little bit of high boost, a little bit of low boost. And then I'm going to show you guys something else about this bass. I'm going to back off the balance just a little towards the bridge. Not completely, just a little bit, okay? So that helps clean it up a little bit as well. It gives you a little more of the nasally of the bridge pickup. So on Wednesday was the one and only gig I've used this on. And it was an all-Latin gig at a casino just east of Palm Springs, California. So we did cumbia, salsa, rock en español, cha-cha-cha, anything you could think of Latin, we did it. And it was great on that gig. So a lot of the videos you're going to find on these basses is going to show you like rocking out, you know, and it's cool for that stuff too. But on a Latin gig, this thing crushed. So I'll do a little bit of a little cumbia style, all right? So I'm back to volume all the way out, pickup balance in the middle, and the preamp is all 12 o'clock as well. Now, I will tell you, if you know Latin music, the bass is not supposed to be super, super bright, generally speaking. Everybody plays their own way, but you're supposed to be dark and full. So it worked out phenomenally. I'm going to go to passive mode just to show you what it'll sound like in passive, both pickups up briefly. The bummer about this in passive is there's no tone control. So when you're going into passive, I consider that like an emergency situation in this bass. I would always stay active, but here is passive, both pickups. So you do lose volume. I do believe on the preamp you can adjust the volume on the active pre. In this case, I would have to turn it down to make the volumes match. But like I mentioned to you guys, I would consider passive on this bass to be an emergency situation. I would always stay active, so I have that tonability, if that's a word, at my disposal. By the way, if you're noticing my hair, I didn't put a hat on today. I went natural since it's a natural bass, so don't make fun of me in the comments, all right, guys? Here's what I want to do next, and this is going to be very interesting, is I'm going to take it out of the DI. I'm going to run it into one of my GENZBENZ amplifier heads, and you're going to get the line out from that, and it's going to be interesting. So let me switch that. Cool, so we are switched. And when I was working with this bass here at the house, kind of like I'm doing right now with Direct, it sounded just okay, right? Some of you guys out there may be like, the bass sounds okay. When I ran it through the head, and even though the head is flat, just for whatever reason, the way it went through it really brightened it up a little bit. Big difference, right? And there's really nothing going on with the head. The EQ is flat. It's just gained up like I would for the amp. So this was a big thing to me when I first plugged it into the amp on Wednesday, because I had not ran this through an amp until I got to the stage that day. And it was a world of difference, and this thing sounded like a dream all night long. That was through my Shuttle Max 9.0 on that gig and my Schroeder 1210 with a horn. And it was amazing. The sound guy loved it. It was super clean, no buzz. If I have a buzz right now, it's probably just from power here in the garage. But there was no buzz there, so don't worry about that. I will say that my luthier did put some shielding in here because he was working on another bass I'm going to review, and put some extra shielding like on the jack and such. Not a whole lot, just a little bit to help with some buzz stuff. So that is an option, a fairly inexpensive option that you can on the inner cavity of this bass. So now that I'm through the amp head, let's play a little bit with it. You just heard flat, all the pickups, excuse me, 12 o'clock. I'm going to do a slight treble boost and bass boost. You're hearing a little buzz. That's probably from the electricity here. I apologize. You heard how it got dirty, right? Because my volume's all the way up. I'm going to pull that back. I'm going to do another bass line that's more Latin inspired with that little boost, and you'll kind of hear how it's going to sound really good for the mix. So it's a big difference running through an amp. That could be a good thing. Could be a bad thing, however you want to approach it. It tells me that when I'm going to record with this bass, I'm probably going to run it through some sort of a preamp DI or an amplifier head to get that sort of presence and clarity. And that's what I'm going to do for me. But everybody's going to do their own thing. Some guys are going to just say, no, I'm just giving the engineer what it is, and he can deal with it later, and that's totally fine. I did not mention this huge string tree on the bass, and it covers your E, A, D, and G string, all of those. Tuners are pretty cool. I can't say how well it kept it in tune only because it was brand new strings, so it kind of stayed out of tune a little bit there from time to time, but it was brand new. It was the first gig with them on, so don't be discouraged. This is an awesome bass. It looks amazing. It stays amazing. I would highly recommend it. It, again, is the Harley Benton Enhanced MP5-MN Natural. Okay, ladies and gentlemen? So I think that's all I'm going to show you today. It's EddieStevensMusic.com, www.EddieStepHensmusic.com. Thanks so much for watching, guys. We'll see you guys in YouTube land again, okay? Shouting out from Pico Rivera.